Leo tumepata nafasi ya kuweza kuzungumza na seneta wa kaunti ya Kakamega ambaye ni Boni KHALWALE. Tunataka kuzungumza mawili matatu kuhusiana na siasa za hapa nchini na vile vile hapa katika kaunti ya Kakamega. Karibu sana bwana seneta.
Asante. Thanks for having me.
Oh, sure.
Karibu kwetu Kakamega.
Kakamega ni kuzuri. Yes. Obvious bullfighter. You pride in being a bullfighter.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Bullfighting is nice. Bullfighting is beautiful. Bullfighting is cultural. Bullfighting is not mine. I'm just a small player within the bigger ecosystem of our community, which has got a very big voice through the culture of Isukuti and bullfighting. That's why I'm inside. I'm a bullfighter, which means I own fighter bulls, and in every function where my bull is involved, I'm present. Where
are we in terms of politics in the country? State of the nation currently?
Politics, I see nothing new. I see nothing new. I can hear the decibels from the critics of government are very high, which is not surprising. I recall even after President Mwai Kibaki won the election in 2002, resoundingly, so far he's the only presidential candidate to have garnered over 62-point-something% of the votes cast. But despite that huge popularity that he stood on to go into office, such a time, he was also facing the same storm by way of critiques coming from the opposition. The same critique was faced by Uhuru, and therefore I'm not surprised that President Ruto is currently on the chopping board, so to speak. Yeah.
You are a chief whip majority,
yes.
And people will expect you to be supporting the government in literally everything, selling the agenda and all that. But lately you have been criticizing some of the things that are happening in the country. Why so?
It's a matter of choice. You can view yourself as a party supporter or an individual presidential supporter or a government supporter. You also have the choice to stand out as a leader in the nation. It is times like now when there's a lot of turbulence that leadership is required. Some of the supporters of the president will support him on everything and anything, which is good. But sometimes that is called sycophancy. The other supporters of the president and government are, and they are few, they'll support him for the right things and help him to speak to things that are not moving the country in the right direction. The person who is a sycophant is fighting for the president to be re-elected. But the person who is critiquing the way you have described me not only wants the president to be re-elected, but he wants the country to be moved to the next level. I therefore have no regrets on the many occasions that I've pointed out how things could have been done better. I have no apologies to make for reminding the president that we entered an MOU when we decided to support him. The terms and conditions of the MOU are known. The roads, the hospitals, our institutions, both of business, institutions of governance, and learning institutions, were on the menu. So when I remind him about those things, the people who are surprised are the Johnny come lately from Azimio, because them they came to eat. As we met with we agreed with the president that we must serve the nation. So for example, the first time I criticized the government was when it made a decision that they were going to privatize sugar companies. I refused, because there's no way ancestral land, 12.5 hectares in Mumias nucleus farm, 24.5 hectares in Zoya nucleus farm. There's no way you're going to privatize and then give it to some Windy or whoever it is to own that ancestral land without us maintaining our stake. I would have betrayed the leaders from our community who came before us, who gave us the gift of those 2 factories. That's why I stood out and I refused privatization. Yes, cabinet had passed, but I want to congratulate the president because he rescinded. And therefore, the new theory of leasing is the one which is in force. I must be very clear on this leasing thing because, again, people misunderstand me. I support Mumias and I oppose leasing of Zoya. So people are wondering, is this man speaking from both sides of the mouth? The answer is no, I am not. I'm saying leasing as a principle is good. But it is not good enough until you have identified the proper investor. The investor in a Mumias Sugar Company, Sarbi, was competitively found. He was procured through competitive process. And after that, when we fall back and see behind him who is he, we find he's the most successful miller in Uganda. So that beautiful experience, he has brought it to Mumias, and already people are seeing the gains. The entire 12.5 hectares of the nucleus farm is under Ken. The farmers who have been courageous enough to start planting, they are selling their Ken. They mill, and they pay farmers every week. So the gains are there. Why I oppose Zoya is not because of leasing. I oppose Zoya because the process of procuring rye, I am not convinced that it was competitive. If it was competitive, rye would not have given. Because rye has a very long case.
So according to you, you feel like he was handpicked?
Yes.
Okay.
I fear. He has a very long case. He has already messed up pan paper factory in Webuye, and before we know it, he's given Zoya. So I am worried that we might be making a mistake. He was giving us a lot of problems here in Kakamega with West Kenya until Soita Chitanda and I, we managed to help Butali Sugar to be established. It was that competition between Butali and West Kenya that brought him back to his senses. Otherwise, in his tenure, Kens were over-maturing on the farm. Getting a permit to harvest your cane was a problem. You had to bribe. After you have harvested your cane, some of the cane used to dry on the fields after you have harvested because the transport system was very poor. And when it was lifted to go to the factory, after your cane has been crushed, people used to wait for 6-8 months before they are paid. But after we brought in Butali Sugar Company, the competitive edge has now made it a must for him to do what Butali is doing. Otherwise, he was going to be knocked out of the market. This is why we have reservations. So if Rai can convince me that he has left the bad manners, people of Bungoma don't know. We had a big problem with Rai, I'm telling you. So it is stand and I. To the extent of establishing a new factory, you can see how much we had been stretched. So if he has changed, I wish him well. Let him serve the people of Bungoma.
So now that you're supporting Mumias, what is the status of Mumias right now? People are celebrating?
Mumias, I don't supply cane to Mumias.
Okay.
So I don't have a personal experience. But from what I hear from the grapevine, things are changing for the better. The issuance of bonus that was done by the president is just part of the case of the success story. The crushing of Ken 24 hours a day is another example of the success. The payment of farmers every week is a further example of success of Mias. And finally, but not least, I was able to visit the factory. I saw with my own eyes. They have bought new tractors. Now they want to help the small-scale farmers, the outgrowers, to put more acres under Ken. So it's a success story. I hope it gets better and better. But sugar industry is one of the 3 cartels that are in the world.
Okay.
We have only 3 cartels in the world. We have the petroleum cartels, we have the drug trafficking cartels,
And then sugar.
and then we have got sugar. So I'm hoping that the bad manners of those cartels will not creep in again and send us back to the headache that we're trying to run away from. That is the first time I criticized the government. I mean, it was positive. You can see it has added value. Where else have I criticized government?
What is your stand on the recent order? Shoot to kill by Murkomen and shoot on the leg by the president?
The government should hear it loud and clear. According to the Constitution of Kenya, the government is elected to provide security to her people and their property. Government is never elected to kill its people. If a crazy citizen then arms himself, it is not the responsibility of the government to kill that citizen. Murkomen should know that, being a lawyer, the responsibility of the government when you are faced with an armed citizen is to disarm him. And once you have disarmed him, you let him face the full force of the law. Why they are not doing this, I do not understand. How you disarm him, it is the responsibility of the law enforcement officers. They are trained on how to disarm somebody. You don't tell them, shoot to kill. They should go and disarm people. You don't tell them to shoot people in the legs. You tell them to disarm. They know how to disarm people. And they are not supposed to take orders from anybody, including the president and Murkomen. They are only expected to take orders from the Inspector General of Police. And these trained police officers know that orders from above must be obeyed. But according to the police code of conduct, they also know that if your senior gives you an illegal order, you are not under an obligation to implement that order.
Now that you are on the same side,
Yes.
the same party, I mean, don't you have other avenues to talk about these issues, criticize the government, or rather maybe have a sitting with the president, other than, you know, saying it in public?
It is because I'm not an appointed officer.
Ah, okay.
An appointed officer, like a minister, waits to go to cabinet, talks to the president. But an elected leader like myself, you report to 2 levels. The first and most important level you report to is your electorate. You must report to it. And you report to it by articulating the issues that concern them in public, on the floor of parliament, and also during public discourse. On this sticking issue of shoot to kill, unknown to you, my sister's son, Elvis Musavi, from Ukirenyi, was shot in Kangemi and is dead. The fundraising to bring him home is ongoing now in Nairobi. So the people who elected me, if I keep quiet and I don't express my disapproval, I'll be failing big time. The second level I report to, thanks to my appointment as a whip, is to the president. When, or rather, as and when I have an opportunity to meet him, I express myself. Sometimes we are called to State House. Sometimes we meet behind the tents in public function, and you report them. So there's nothing to apologize for articulating these things in public, because I'm reporting back to the people who elected me, who I represent.
So generally, do you support President William Ruto's leadership as it is right now? Is this what you voted him for?
Yes, the best way to represent, to support the president is to help him to succeed. And I believe the critique that I make goes in a small way to help him succeed. But if you start telling him all is well, when you know all is not well, he's never in Kakamega. Me, I'm in Kakamega all the time. So I can be able to tell him, this is how the feel is on the ground. If we do this, then things will get much better. I think I support him better that way than being a sycophant.
Mheshimiwa, rumor has it that you have one leg inside the government and one leg outside the government.
I really do not understand what that means.
And probably that is why
you're
criticizing the government.
Do you know why I really don't understand what that means? If disagreeing with something which is wrong means you have all of a sudden joined the opposition, then I beg your pardon, because I come from a community of leaders who have no history of sycophancy. Did you know, members of the public, that when the government of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta killed J.M. Kariuki, and the motion was brought to Parliament, Henry Pius Masinda Muliro, Minister for Public Works, Roads and Public Works, who was a lawyer and our forefather in politics, voted against the government, and he was sacked as a minister. I come from that school. Peter Kibisu, assistant minister from Vihiga, voted against the government, and he was sacked because they were not going to support the government for killing Josiah Mwangi Kariuki. So if you expect me that I can support when children are being shot, when there are better ways of handling it, then I beg your pardon, I cannot afford to disappoint the rich legacy of Masinda Muliro, the late, and Peter Kibisu, the late. And what's more, Elijah Wesike Mwangale was the chairman of the prop committee that propped the murder of Josiah Mwangi Kariuki. Lawyers don't kill people. Lawyers don't approve killing of people.
So even if it means relinquishing your seat as a chief whip?
I don't see how that is on the cards, because the position of chief whip is not negotiated for. It's a decision of the appointing authority. And the appointing authority is His Excellency, who has worked with me for so many years. He understands my modus operandi. He knows that I'm fiercely independent-minded. And he knows that I am not petty. He knows that I'm a politician who goes to ask for a right. I don't go to ask for favors. He knows me as that. So in this case, if I was anything else, I would today be articulating an agenda which is contrary to the school of political thought that I come from. The school of Masinda Muliro, the school of Elijah Wesike Mwangale, the school of Michael Kijana Wamalwa. Principled politicians who have left with honor. They might not have left as billionaires, but the history that we learn from Masinda Muliro is that once you choose to go into politics, you're prepared either to die poor, to land in prison because of fighting with the people, or to be killed. That's the reality of politics. Yes. It's not a walk in the park. People to vote for you. Do you know I represent 2.6 million people here in this county? And of the 300,000 people who voted me, there are voters there who voted for me when they had never seen me. They have never shaken my hand. But out of association with the other supporters, they believe I can represent them. How do I let down that kind of confidence? There's this woman, the mother of, shall I say, Elvis Musavi, who was shot. For example, she's one such a woman. So a woman woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning, stayed in the queue up to 1 p.m., voted for you, you won. And when her child dies, you cannot empathize. What kind of leader would you be? You are an animal. You're not supposed to be a leader. You did not influence her. She just had you articulating your agenda. They said, that one. Those are the kind of people I represent myself. Therefore, I'll continue supporting the president wholeheartedly by pushing cases where the government is moving in the right direction. But where it's starting to veer off, I point out, and then it is up to him to take heed or otherwise.
You said sycophancy, but again, if at all the president will say you need to do what you have to do, stop criticizing me, or you let go of your seat, what would you choose?
I'll make that decision if I reach that bridge.
Okay, you've been heard most of the time. You've been, people have talked about KHALWALE saying that Western region, they're getting peanuts from the government, especially the coalition government. Do you have issues with ODM coming on board?
ODM coming on board, it is an ambiguous relationship. The Political Parties Act stipulates on how parties can coalesce to form a coalition. The law is very clear. You can do it before or after the election. So us, we formed a coalition before the election. That's within the law. ODM coming after the election, again, it is perfectly in order. Unfortunately, when I last checked, there is no coalition document filed at the office of the Registrar of Political Parties between UDA and ODM, between UDA and ANC. So I don't recognize both. Yes, I'm a lawmaker. I've been making law for the last 20 years plus. I therefore cannot support something that is formed outside the frameworks of the law.
So will you point fingers at the president or Ruto, or Raila Odinga, when you're saying that Western are getting peanuts and a lot of things are going to Nyanza?
I'm not pointing, but I am reporting back to the people who elected us that we agreed the pre-election that we would get 30% of government and get 30% of government and 30% of development, which included 1,000 kilometers of road. We also agreed in our economic blueprint, which we prepared here and which we presented to President William Ruto before he was elected in a 2-day retreat in Lake Naivasha. We agreed that we will get 30% of government and 30% of development, which also included 1,000 kilometers of road. We have gotten none of them. 2, we also had specific projects, like the teaching and referral hospital in Kakamega was to be elevated to level 6. The airport at the Wichina in Kakamega was supposed to be elevated to an international status. The projects have been abandoned. How do you expect me to keep quiet? If I keep quiet, Mudavadi doesn't remind the president about Kakamega. Wetangula does not remind the president about Kakamega. The responsibility is mine that I do so. You can't expect our governor to do it because the governor was not elected on our coalition. He doesn't know what we agreed with the president. So I beg their pardon. They should keep quiet. They have come where we had a pre-election agreement. Let them continue eating, but as we shall continue pushing for the projects that we agreed with the president. Yes, we will continue pushing and push. I'm very glad I heard yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before, that the PS for internal security was here with the senior officers of the army, trying to find out if they could be the ones to complete the hospital. I'll be very happy if that is the case. When they finish, I'll say thank you, but I will not keep quiet. I'll remind them about the airport. And when they finish, I'll not keep quiet. I'll remind them about their 1,000-kilometer of road. You remember during the recent reshuffle of government, part of the little we had gotten in the 30%, it was taken away. PS James Mohati was dropped. PS Professor Kisiangani was dropped. You expect me to keep quiet? Will Luos ask for a job for James Mohati? Will they ask for a job for Professor Kisiangani? It's me who convinced Professor Kisiangani from the University of Kenyatta, where he was teaching, that please come and join us. We have formed a party with the president called UDA. We need a think tank. We called it the Technical Advisory Team. The president knows it. I recruited Professor Kisiangani on that team. I recruited Barak Muluka on that team. So now when they are mistreated and I keep quiet, who are they going to run to say we are getting the short end of the stick? Man, you guys, members of the public, you're asking for too much. Or is it that lawyers are children of a lesser God? You think it is amusing that level 5 that was supposed to come here in Kakamega, without casting a single vote, without supporting the president in any way, ODM has simply come in and said, we are working with the government, and the Kisumu hospital has been elevated to level 6. You think it's a laughing matter? Let them get level 6 and more, but we get ours. Let them get the things I'm seeing being done in Homa Bay, in Siaya, in Migori, in Kisumu. Let them get, but we also get ours.
Some will say instead of playing, being a critic in the government, why can't you play opposition outside the government? Because exactly that is what you're doing by criticizing.
Unfortunately, the person who is saying that does not live in Kenya. In Kenya, there is no opposition. The opposition died the day the leader of the opposition went into something called broad-based government with the president. The opposition became the government and the government became the opposition.
How do you call Kalonzo, Gachagua and the team?
They should have been an opposition. But Kalonzo is not the leader of the opposition. If he was, he still has members of parliament, of Wiper, in the National Assembly and in the Senate. Why has he refused to take leadership positions meant for the opposition? Wiper senators are not the whip of the opposition in the Senate. They are not the minority leaders in the Senate. They have refused to take the position. So the positions are in the hands, the same position of the opposition are in the hands of ODM, and ODM with UDA stroke ANC, they are in government. So the opposition is dead. In fact, the country should be grateful to some of us who are able to risk some of the positions we have because we are crying for the country that the opposition should have done A, B, C, D. And by the way, members of the party, who told you? Who told you that once you are elected as a member of parliament and the parliament receives a motion whose long and short is that it is a bad idea? Who told you that you are obligated by dint of being an opposition senator to support a wrong idea? You are supposed to look at that bill, consider it, debate, and amend it so that you make it a better idea. And that I have consistently done for the last 3 years in the Senate. And I'm not going to stop.
Senator, do you think that the Parliament currently, and even the Senate, is now that we are talking about, we have a leader of majority and minority, and they are on the same side of the government, do you think that it is unconstitutional, unlawful?
It is unconstitutional because those positions are prescribed in the Constitution. So anybody operating in a manner contrary to the provisions of the Constitution is breaching the Constitution. And it is extremely dangerous. I'm telling you, my advice to my brother, the president, is that let them formalize their relationship in the broad-based, because he runs the risk of being challenged with the charge that he has abused the Constitution. He runs that risk. You have seen governors facing that very charge, not once, but severally in the Senate during impeachments. Gachagua faced the same charge.
Yes.
So let them regularize, they legalize it, let the broad-based government go on. We have no problem. The president has a reason why he chose that route, but let it be legalized. Yes. So that people like Kalonzo maybe can be allowed to now properly put positions of leadership meant for the opposition in the hands of their MPs, because Raila is hanging on those positions.
Talking of the opposition, the other day, is it yesterday, Gachagua said that they're going to sue the president, to the ICC. They're going to take him to the ICC, and they have evidence in that regard.
Yes.
What is the opposition on that?
As a seasoned politician, you don't comment on that kind of statement. You wait for the charges. So we shall see the charges that they are going to prefer against the president, and then see if they have evidence to back. And if they do, they are doing so because they are seeking for justice. And justice is dispensed by our courts here in Kenya. And where the courts cannot handle, you then have an option to go to the International Criminal Court. Again, thanks to my long years in practice of lawmaking, I know that the ICC is not going to run to take up those charges. I mean, those cases. They'll say, is this matter able to be handled in Kenya? If it is not, and convince us it is not, then we shall take up the matter. For example, if the intention is to get the president out of the way, Gachagua should stop being foolish. The process of removing the president of Kenya is provided for in the Constitution. He can approach any of his members, if indeed he has numbers in the National Assembly. They convince the others, they impeach the president. Then they bring the Senate. Senators, we shall sit and listen, either uphold or dismiss the impeachment charges. In the same manner we did with Gachagua, in the same manner that we did with Kawira, in the same manner that we did last week with Guyo. There is no lacuna. So I'm afraid they will go get headlines, but ICC will tell them, go back to Kenya, because we believe this can be sorted out in Kenya.
Locally.
I know members of the public will ask, how about ICC? I mean, how about the post-election violence? How did you end up there? It is because at that time, whereas we had the same system of handling crime and dispensing justice, the obtaining circumstances in 2007, 2008 was such that you would not have taken all the youth who needed to be tried and bring them to Nairobi. There would have been even more chaos. You would not have charged Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto the way ICC did, and do it in Nairobi and hope that members of the public will be locked out of the High Court. They would all have come, would be locked out of the Supreme Court, wherever it is. So that is why that option was taken. Yeah.
Over 100 youth in the country died during the Jenzi protest. And of course, probably this is not the last one. Maybe we may see more protests in the near future. What is your take on the Jenzi protests? And do you think they're being, realistic with their demands?
And that is a very sensitive issue and very weighty, because those people are victims not of theft, not of robbery. The youth are victims of conscience. If you arrest them, they become prisoners of their conscience. This is a very high level of practice of politics. And therefore, to hope that you'll solve it using force is to be clever by a half. Prisoners of conscience are usually given a hearing, and it is usually through that hearing that a solution is found. Applying force on somebody with a conviction of the consciousness of their mind, you're bound to fail. That's why the children holding a smartphone with the Kenyan flag tied around their necks, they have been receiving bullets. So when an officer says we are killing them, I thought officers are supposed to kill when their own lives is at risk. How does a smartphone holder with the Kenyan flag as a necklace, how do they threaten their lives? So it is so difficult to handle. I was talking to my brother, the leader of the majority in the Senate, Aaron Keriot, and I was telling him, hey man, supposing 20,000 children march on and reach State House, what would you do? Would you wipe all of them?
Shoot on the leg as the president has
I don't
directed.
know. He didn't tell me that. But we have to know that the solution lies them in making them see only one thing, which I want to repeat today. Allowing yourself to be shot in the leg, allowing yourself to lose your life, indeed, is the highest sacrifice you can make. But please do so in the full knowledge that the real solution to the problem of governance of this country is the 2027 general election. And therefore the youth in those many numbers should go get IDs, register as voters, and on voting day, they should not leave the voting process in the hands of the rural women who are really the ones who elect leaders for us. They should go and participate in the election. They run in millions of them. Yeah, that is the real solution. And I'll tell you, I'm speaking from experience, dear youth, that there is no generation that did not have its own youth.
Sure.
In 1992, when we went Malparty, the youth of that time were criminals called YK92. They came with millions of shillings. Those were the youth of that time. And us who are not like-minded, we started following the young leaders of that time called the Young Turks. And later on, when we came of age, 2002, we presented ourselves as candidates. So let them vote. Then when they come of age, they present themselves as candidates. So that they become, we grow the number of leaders who believe in proper constitutional steering of the country. It is not a laughing matter. The children, we must today be talking about 31 children who lost their lives last week. It's not nice.
Now, if I get you correctly, is like whatever you're saying is like you believe that the way the government is dealing with the Jenzi protests and the whole thing
is wrong.
Is wrong.
Yeah.
And do you advocate now for dialogue, or what really needs to be done? They change tactics?
The dialogue is a self-serving process.
Okay.
One of the biggest proponents of dialogue at the moment is Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga, excuse me, the dialogues that you have propagated in the past have truly benefited you. The dialogue with Mwai Kibaki gifted you the position of Prime Minister and Grand Coalition Government, nusu mkate. The dialogue that you had with Uhuru Kenyatta gave you a handshake and you benefited. The dialogue, NADCO, that you had with William Ruto has gifted you the broad-based government. So this so-called intergenerational dialogue is because you are now desperate, Raila Odinga, that these children, if they keep pushing, the benefit you have been enjoying from dialogues will not be in your favor. And therefore, you want to then bring dialogue again so as just for personal gain to slow down the youth. Raila Odinga, you and I, and all us mature politicians, let's fall back to our constituencies. Raila Odinga has got a huge constituency. President Ruto has an entire national constituency. I have a constituency mainly here in Kakamega County. Let us fall back and ask our youth that they have a chance to change government. It has formed part of my speech this morning in church that all our clergy should preach to the youth to take registration as voters as the real option and not sacrifice their lives.
So do you think these Jenzi protests have actually exposed the failure of leadership of seasoned politicians like you in this country?
Well, it is true, but I think this so-called, allow me to call them so-called, the so-called Jenzi are not fools. They express what they see and what they understand openly. I'm not saying next time around they come and attack me. I'm the only leader who the Jenzi celebrate in this town. They even dance, they come to the senator's office in Kakamega. They don't throw a single stage. They just say, is Senator there? We want to present our grievances to him. When I'm not there, I'm in Nairobi, they come back to town. But when they come to town, they stone all the offices of the governor. No, so they know who their enemies are. What wrong have I done to the Jenzi?
I don't know, brother.
A humble bullfighter from Marinya there.
So you have been a senator. What legacy are you going to leave behind for this senatorial seat? Because I know very well that you're going for the gubernatorial seat very soon. The
legacy I want to leave is that devolution can work if the senator discharges at the Senate. I've done so well at the Senate that today, as we speak, I sit in the all-powerful finance committee of the budget. We have ensured that before the closure of the last financial year, all monies due to county governments had been paid by end of May. The only arrears remaining is June because they have to balance the figures before the year closes, then they'll pay. So a senator working makes money to come on time the way I've done. Number two, we have now improved the formula for sharing resources amongst the 47 counties so well so that we have even now this time introduced a further provision, namely the affirmative allocation fund, which is a fund meant to cushion counties that get monies that are not reasonably enough to help them realize sufficient development. Thanks to this, I've been able, and I'm glad that I am the one who started that debate. And I managed to carry the entire support of the committee and the entire Senate. Thanks to that, speaking about home here in Western, I've cushioned Vihiga. Vihiga now is enjoying every financial year 500 million shillings from affirmative allocation that never used to be there. This will help Vihiga to now try flagship projects. They were being reduced to just an employment bureau for paying salaries. This we have corrected. I believe this is not a mean achievement. I believe we've made a difference in the Senate. I have stood out on matters of good governance in the Senate. I'm privileged to have been allowed to preside over impeachment proceedings, and some of the decisions I've led have enjoyed 90% of the support, 90% the approval of Kenyans. Like when I returned the verdict that Kawira Mwangaza should be released, I received a lot of support across the country. I believe in good governance.
You know, at some point we had a time where you were accused by the current governor that you're among the senators who voted against additional funds to the counties.
Yes.
Yes. Why so? And currently, as now that you're coming to the Kakamega County, I mean the gubernatorial seat, what is this something that you wanted to do different that the current governor is not doing?
Those are two questions.
Yes. So first and foremost, why were you against it?
Let me take the first question.
Yes.
When I listened to the speeches of Governor Barasa in respect of the first amount that we brought here, which was 17 billion.
Yes.
It confirmed that he became a governor prematurely. He had never been an MCA, he had never been an MP, he had never been a woman MP. He came there prematurely. He came not knowing how government works. The bill that he was speaking to is called the Division of Revenue Bill. It divides money between the national and the devolved governments. You divide the money which is there. If it is a lot, county governments get more. If it is less, there's nothing you can do. He knows that when we came out of the election, the first division of revenue bill that we did was during when the government was being faced with shut down from the international community because of the debt burden. That reality was there. We were coming out of the post-corona depression. That burden was there. We were faced with the war and conflict in Ukraine and Russia. So having managed the debt, having come out of the post-corona depression, there's been more money, and this is why that time we gave 17, the following year we gave 17.5, this year we've given 18.2. So if he was a polished and accomplished politician who understands how government works, he would not have made that ignorant statement. Second question you're asking, what is it that you want to do differently? Why you want to remove Barasa?
No, why do you want to become a governor?
Yes. What I want to do differently is everything that Barasa is doing now. Barasa is responsible for the switching off of all the security lights in Kakamega. Kakamega closes down 15 minutes after 6, maximum 6:30. Business closes in Kakamega until the following day. I am going to make sure that I reopen businesses. The markets where I can give sufficient security, especially this down, can be either 24-hour economies or close to 24-hour economy. Because the purpose of the governor is to ensure that the systems are working for the economy to thrive. Barasa, he's responsible. You can see in the smell now in town now. This is not fresh smell. The town is stinking because of uncollected garbage. There's garbage right there at the corner and everywhere you go. I'll ensure that this place is clean. I will ensure that the flagship projects that were started by the first generation governor are completed, namely, but not limited to, Buhungu Stadium, the Teaching and Referral Hospital, the hospital in Mumias, the hospital in Malaba, the hospital in Butere, If you go here in Malaba, there is a project that was started for dairy. I'll go and make sure that Tumbeni is completed. I'll make sure that all the water projects that were started by that first generation government are completed. You go to Ikolomani, there is a Butuea water project. The pipes are now being vandalized. If you go right now to Regi, it's being vandalized. I ask you as a media to tour. I am going to go beyond that and now bring in my fresh ideas. As the governor of Kakamega, I will ensure that I do the prerequisite stuff so that Kakamega, we elevate it to city status. Elevating this town to city status has returns. For a person of your age, you know, just the other day when Kisumu was not enjoying city status, what it was just like a smelly little town. But right now, because of the funds that you attract when you are a city from the World Bank, Kisumu now is the best city in Kenya today. It's better than Nairobi. And you know why? Because the governor there is a former senator. Because the governor there, Professor Nyong, is a child of the struggle. He came from the struggle fighting Moi. That's why you see him performing. He had a vision to go there. I am also a child of the struggle. I joined the struggle when I was the age of 22 at the University of Nairobi, when our generation of youth overthrew the president. When I was discontinued from the university and my life came to a standstill. But 1.5 years later, I was readmitted into medical school. I come from that generation. And because I went in at the age of 22 years, I believed something. I have not seen that thing. So what Professor Nyong had wanted, he's seeing it in Kisumu. I want to see it in Kakamega. And I tell you, you will not believe. Barasa doesn't even know what he's supposed to do to achieve city status. He's just walking around speaking English. To get city status here, you must get a multi-billion sewage disposal plant. Not these silly things they are doing here in Rosterman. You have seen there. They burn garbage. Have you been there? In that wall they've done. It is a sign of foolishness. They are supposed to spend 2-3 billion shillings in creating a sewerage handling plant. The moment you do that, the moment you fix Pokongo Stadium, the moment you fix Kakamega International Airport, we shall get city status. And when we get, it means jobs and jobs and more jobs for our youth. That's why I'm there. I'm not there to be rich. I'm not there to be rich the way Oparanya did. What I saved Oparanya is because he got appointed in the broad-based government. He was now being charged at the same time with Waititu for 1.4 billion shillings. I don't want to be governor so as to steal. In fact, if you look at me now, I might not be having a golden watch like Murkomen. I'm not having shoes worth 80,000 shillings. But with my 12,000 shilling shoes and my jacket of 8,000 shillings, I look very smart. So why would I want to steal to go beyond this? Without being governor, I have a good car. Not one, not two, not three. They're there. I have a good house. Not one, not two. They're there here in Kakamega, in Nairobi and Mombasa. I did not have to steal. We want to come and teach our children that you don't have to steal from the public for you to live well. God has given me the gift of many children. All of them, as they move on. Professionals. I did not have to steal. I did not have to steal money so as to take them to a university in Europe. None of my children has gone to university in Europe. They are accomplished professionals, lawyers, doctors, engineers from the University of Nairobi. This lie, we have to stop it. All of them, none of my children has gone through these academies. They come from Malinya Primary School, my children. That is the Kenya we want to build. I want to elevate this hospital to a level whereby when I'll be unwell, I'll be admitted in the Provincial General Hospital, Kakamega, where I practiced medicine for 3 years. That is the vision I have for this county. A vision whereby I celebrate our culture of bullfighting of Isukuti by attracting tourists to come and see how unique we are. And they will come and pay me for seeing how different we are from them. And that money I'd employ young people. I'm going to unlock the gold mining, which is a 300 billion shilling asset here in Rosterman, in Shinyalu and in Kolmani. I'm going to open it up. Shanda Gold was trying to take shortcuts. I've now contained them. Now we are meeting on the table. We have a meeting next week. People must fear us. They have to respect us. But when they see you cheap like Barasa, that you can just be bribed because you have billions of shillings in your account, they can do anything with you. He has those billions. But he is not respected. Even in a funeral of a 4-year-old, he can't talk, despite being the richest man in Kakamega. This young man here, my senior, cannot listen to Barasa because he doesn't inspire him. You can only inspire a youth if you are showing him on how they'll earn their own livelihood. That's what we are going to bring in this county. We are very serious. There's only one thing that can stop me from going to this place. With the permission of God, the only thing that these guys can use to stop me is a bullet. Otherwise, I'll defeat them. I have the numbers. The place where I used to have relatively lower numbers was in Khwisero Butere, Mumiasi East, Mumiasi West, and Matungu. But right now, I can tell you, without fear of contradiction, that in the entire county, 12 constituencies, 60 wards, 400 villages, I'm cruising nicely.
What percentage are you going to give him?
Who? Barasa. If the vote is cast, Barasa will be number 3, else Muanda will be number 2.
No, according to performance.
Performance, yeah. You on what measure would you use to give Barasa 1%? On health? Would you? Early childhood. Next week, Barasa is in the Senate to answer for the hundreds of millions that in the books have been expended on construction of early childhood classrooms. And in no single school in Kakamega has a classroom been completed. You are a media practitioner, you would know. Up to and including Nagongo Primary School here, Muslim Primary School here, nothing. So really, on what can I score him 1%? Water, he told people, Mata. How do I score him when no single household has water? How? Health. How do I score him when all our consultants are on strike? The doctors hardly report. The nurses, even when they report, they don't have basic things like the equipment, self-protective equipment that enables them to make contact with patients. You expect our nurses to preside over deliveries without wearing gloves? So the nurses sit there and they tell the parents, the patient's relatives, go and bring the PEPs. So they go and buy. Meanwhile, by the time the husband comes back with the gloves, the child has died. By the time they come with enough gloves for the doctors to wear in theater to do a cesarean section, the mother has died. And you know the cases of the women dying here. That's why I'm saying I cannot wait to be the governor of Kakamega. Because I have to prove that we are not a county of failures. Yes. I used to think Oparanya was bad. But how wrong I was. When I now compare with Barasa, I realize Oparanya wasn't that bad after all.
Do you believe that he's being shielded as a CS right now because of the EACC?
Yes, I do. I have nothing to hide. Because EACC, during the vetting of Oparanya in Parliament, wrote to Parliament and said that he has a case to answer. And somebody shielded it. The MPs put it aside. Those are issues of governance where I don't fit the bill of the kind of leader you people need. I had to stand out in 2008, 2009 to remove Amos Kimunya, who was stealing from the public. I had to stand out in 2010 when the British, a company called Dilaru, came to take over the printing of Kenyan currency by creating some form of funny company so that they could shortchange the county. I was offered an opportunity to become a millionaire by hundreds, but I refused because I am a patriot. I'm not a patriot because I was born a patriot. I'm a patriot because I'm not a dog. I remember where I came from. I came from a Christ-touched heart of a Changa brewer, and I've made it in life. And I will do everything possible that any brilliant child like myself be given an opportunity to excel. And when they excel, the country excels. Given an opportunity, all our brilliant children will be struggling that they work here in Kenya, not to take them to the Middle East or in Europe, where their professions are not applied. They end up in Europe being caregivers, in nursing homes, in homes of the aged, where they work as housemaids. They put their professions aside. We have children who have done chemical engineering. We have children who have done industrial chemistry. If I get Mumia Sugar Company working, same to Nzoia, same to Battalion, West Kenya. Those are jobs for those kind of professionals. I don't have to take them to Europe. When Mumiasi will be fully functional, when I'm governor, it's going to be, I'll open up 6,500 jobs. Not silly things like what Oparanya and what is the other name of this short fellow? Oparanya and Barasa. What they were doing. Their only imagination of creating jobs in this county is to employ youth who can be saluting them. What do they call? They call them county marshals or something. Marshals, yeah. Those people in green. That's not my business. But I want to create professional jobs in our factories. Yeah. I want to create jobs in the gold mining fields. I want to create jobs in the tourism sector, because the bullfighting and culture is there, because the Nabongo Mausoleum is there for tourism, because Kakamega Forest is there for tourism. They have refused to imagine. They just say, how do I rush to go and buy a house in Nairobi? Even brothers, this has houses in Dubai and what have. No, that's not my business. But my business, the governor of Kakamega does procurement. Can you imagine? He sits and finds out, oh, this tender is 200 million. Who is good? That is not my business. I don't want to know how procurement is done. I don't want to know how roads are done. I don't want to know how water is being fixed. You know why? I'm going to lead a team of competent professionals, procurement officers, engineers, water engineers, doctors. Every week, I'll have a cabinet meeting. They brief me and I drive that team. That is how I was trained as a doctor. When I'm in theater as the lead surgeon, I don't do the work of the nurse. It's called a scrap nurse. I don't do the work of the anesthetist. I do not do the work of the other attachment professionals. All I do, I don't even look there. When I throw up the right hand, the nurse, the assistant nurse knows that you have to drop scissors into his hands. When I have cut I release, she drops in another instrument and I've opened. That is how leadership is done. You lead a team. Governors in Kakamega are the ones who do procurement. Can you imagine? So that they can discuss about their 10%. 10% my shit. For what? My children are professionals. They'll earn their own living. I don't have to steal for them. You become my daughter. I have one called Jenzi. She's a human resource manager. I have to giving birth to her, grown her up, educated her. She's gotten a job. I still steal for her. Let her go and look for her own money. If she wants to steal, let her go and steal, not me. That's the country we want to lead. What are we doing? Tell me. When the governor's wife starts being a supplier for food in a hospital, you're controlling this tender. How does it improve business? Because the money she makes, she goes and banks it wherever they have put their accounts. Some of the accounts out of the country. But if I allow this group of women to be the one controlling that tender, the money they get, they don't bank. They plow it back. We've been in this hotel with you for the last 1 hour. How many vehicles have driven here to come and give business to this? It's collapsed. The economy has collapsed. In the parking, the vehicles here are only mine. So we must accept we have missed it. Workers of the county government are not paid. I'll pay salaries as a priority because when the workers in this town have salary, they start spending in the supermarkets and the economy becomes vibrant. They buy beer here. They sleep with the sex workers. The sex workers have money. That's how you do it. If you go to Vihiga today, there's a small little market here, the size of Marinya, called Chabakari. It works up to 1 a.m. in the morning because the governor in Vihiga has allowed money to flow. How does money flow? You pay salaries, you pay contractors. Barasa has got a list long of pending contractors. They're not paid. My brother's son, his name was Lugonzo, who? The one we buried the other day. Yeah, Lugonzo. Atumomia siya msenda hapa. Tunajua kijana mwenye alikuwa anajiita engineer. Yes, that is the son of my aunt. He died. He got a heart attack because of debts. He had accumulated debts. Now everybody was on him. He's a contractor. He died. But a young man, very brilliant.
But Mheshimiwa, if we are talking about misappropriation of funds in the county, we've not seen EACC coming here. We saw Natembeya.
Let me tell you.
Had a date with the EACC.
Let me tell you.
Barasa hasn't
Natembeya was taken to the EACC not because of theft, but he wanted to be totalist. Yes.
So is it like
at the courts when Natembeya was taken, I refused to go there, much as he is my younger brother, because I did not want to be got in conflict of interest. Because I sit in the Senate knowing very well that a corrupt governor will be brought before the Senate for us to preside over his impeachment. So I said, this guy, because he's been caught stealing, if I go there, it will be a conflict of sorts. So I refused to go. The following day, I was waiting for headlines of what Natembeya had stolen. And what did they say? The guy could not account for 1.2 million shillings, which the governor said was his interest. Really? And you arrest him with all the fanfare that you saw? So that was political intimidation of the governor. The governor of Kiambu, Governor Matangi, again, political intimidation. Governor Matangi is one of the performing governors. But because he doesn't give corrupt people in the high echelons of power an opportunity to partake of the money of Kiambu and the money of Trans Nzoia, that's why they're being intimidated. But counties like Kakamega, where people from the high officers come here and collect money at the end of the month, they will not be arrested. Who doesn't know that people eat the county government money with Barasa, people from Nairobi? On a good day, I'll give you the names of those people. It's not a laughing matter. Money meant to build nursery schools in Kakamega. People come from Nairobi and they eat with Barasa. And you want the bullfighter of Marinya to keep quiet. Because you are saying it will be a sign of bad manners to the government. I believe President William Ruto would like all nursery schools in Kenya to be built. I believe President Ruto, and I believe, would want our hospitals to work. This is why you see him fighting with Shashi for what? Because he wants universal health care. So if a useless governor like Barasa is doing these things and I take him on, I'm doing Ruto's work.
So who is intimidating
And if I'm not doing Ruto's work, then I'm doing God's work.
Who is intimidating these governors, as you say? It's politically instigated.
I said
politically instigated, but of course it has to be coming from someone else.
It is. There's no point of me coming here for this presser, for name calling. No. I want to speak on facts. If in the Senate, when challenged, I'll bank it with facts.
Okay. Are you vying on UDA ticket in 2027, or do you have your own political party? Because one has it that you have a political
party.
Yes. As
if it is a crime for somebody to have a political party.
It is a crime, but we just want to...
I want you to go and read the Constitution of Kenya on something called rights. We have right to life, and we have many other rights, including political rights. I think I've answered you on that one, but let me now respond. You asked me whether I'm going to run on UDA. I'm a founder member of UDA. I find myself in a very bad place, where as a founder member of UDA, who by law, I sit on NEC, the National Executive Council. I don't know whether you know that.
I do.
But I only hear of decisions. And I remember how, as the founder member of UDA, I came and overran ANC in this town in 2022. But when Mudavadi and President William Ruto met, I don't know what MOU they got. They only called me to tell me that you are not good enough to be governor. We will give Malala. And because President Ruto and Mudavadi are both strangers from this county, I told them, you don't know what you're doing. The young man will lose. The best funded candidate in the history of the elections of Kenya for position of governor was Cleophas Omondi Malala. He was funded, my God. Have you heard of a governor having 4 chupas? One for himself, one for his running mate, one for his wife and friends. He was funded with millions to follow, but he couldn't prove anything. I remember towards the end of the campaign, the people from Barasa would meet here in this hotel. And I saw clearly they were broke. But they defeated the young man. But I was broke. In the last 2 weeks, you work here, you know, he had no money. He was literally struggling. In fact, when you go behind the headlines, I remember how Paranya had to run somewhere and get 40 million to give Barasa to kick him. And that's part of the reason why Paranya is very unhappy with Barasa. Because he remembers how he sacrificed up to and including getting him money for the last kick. So what can you imagine? So when you ask me, what will you do about UDA? So I wonder, if they're treating me like this, will they give me a nomination certificate? If last time, even when I was poised like that, I was having the UDA, they told me, I don't want you to run. You should run. You should let ANC to present a candidate. And because I'm a professional, I'm a doctor, I have gone to the president. And I told him, Your Excellency, as I work as the senator of Kakamega and serving you as your chief whip, I would like you to know that I'm aware you're working with Barasa. And you do not have to refer anything to me to work with him because he's the governor of Kakamega. However, know that in 2027, I'll oppose him. And I would like to run on your party, UDA. Then the president was non-committal. Then we came here for a rally in Kakamega. And in broad daylight, when I was standing there, and Barasa was there, and Oparanya was there, and the media was there, and the people of Kakamega were there, he told the people that he will support Governor Barasa now and for re-election. You think I'm a dog? To then sit there thinking that he will change his mind? I'll still support him for president. But I'll also have to support myself for governor. So that even when I lose honorably. And when I win, I give the people of Kakamega an opportunity to say that KHALWALE can serve us. We cannot expect outsiders to be coming here to decide who becomes the governor. Then we will miss it altogether. Because they don't know us. Have I answered you? So if UDA gives me a certificate, I'll go back to the people of Kakamega, ask them, do you want me to run on UDA? They tell me, yes, I will run on UDA. If they don't, we will know what to do because the Constitution guarantees us political rights.
Currently, as you speak, are you a party leader?
Pardon me?
Currently, as you speak, are you a party leader?
As we speak now. That is a very easy question. There are several parties which would love me to run on their parties as their candidate for governor in Kakamega. UDA is one of those parties. Because they are relying on Barasa, who is an ODM candidate. So if UDA will be looking for a candidate, it would be one of the parties wanting to field me as governor. But it is not the only one. The other parties here who have approached me, including the party of the late Masi, called Maendeleo Democratic Party. I hear there is a party called United Patriotic Movement. I'm yet to know its leadership. They are looking for me, you know.
You did a whole lot. Yes, you did a whole lot here in Kakamega and Western region.
Yes.
Do you think it has lost mashiko yake, its touch on the ground? Because people feel like it's no longer here. And also ODM. It's like now the Luya parties are taking over. Do you think?
Do you want me to tell you the obtaining political?
Do you think it has lost its popularity?
Do you want me to tell you the obtaining political ecosystem today in the Luya region, formerly Western Province, is as follows. UDA, United Democratic Alliance, is dead. It's non-existent. Because if it was there, I am the head of that party in this region. I know who I put where, who I was using as coordinator where. They all report to me, up and including this morning, my coordinator for Vihiga County, Madam Eva Masi. We have been having a breakfast meeting. So they report to me. Because the alternative in Vihiga was ODM and ANC. So UDA is dead. Two, the other party here is ANC. ANC is non-existent because Musalia, I don't know what they agreed with President Ruto. He has folded the party. It's not there. The third party is called Fort Kenya. Fort Kenya has found it impossible to attract the people of Kakamega, to attract the people of Vihiga, to attract the people of Bungoma, of Busia. It attracts only Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. So it is a limping party here. I would not stand on Fort Kenya because it is something which is foreign to these people and unattractive. The third party, and last year, is ODM. When Raila went into broad-based government, take it to the bank, he lost the entire ODM support in Luyaland. He lost it. because he did not refer to them. In their own drunkenness of power, he believes by picking Oparanya, he has pleased all the ODM supporters of Western, forgetting that even Oparanya is not happy about that appointment. Yes, Oparanya was also shortchanged. Raila had all along positioned him as the Minister for Finance. And when the chips are down, because Raila has the bad habits of lying to lawyers to get votes, and when the benefits starts flowing in, they go to Nyanza. He was lying to lawyers about Oparanya, and that position has been given to John Mbadi. John Mbadi, who is an accountant, but several years junior than Oparanya. So Oparanya is not happy. So ODM, the fortunes have gone down. The result is we are telling lawyers, and I have no apologies to say this as a leader of this community, that enough is enough. When we push national agenda, the people of Kakamega especially, their numbers are used to bargain in Nairobi. And when the benefits accrue, they are not shared with the people of Kakamega. The Grand Coalition government, the handshake government, and now broad-based. Which projects has Raila brought to ODM supporters of Kakamega? UDA, I supported UDA. You can see I'm even being labeled as anti-government shamelessly. And yet all I'm saying is that please, we supported you, we voted for you, we looked for votes for you. Give us a bit of the pie. And I don't want to be given money. I'm saying fix that project, fix that other project. Why are you people calling me anti-government? For asking for what our people deserve. Why? Because if the hospital is fixed, the children of Kakamega will not die. Our women will not die in labor. Silly things like patients who need dialysis, who die on their way to Eldoret, will undergo dialysis here every week and they go back to the house. Please sell those things to a fool. Not me. Not me. I refuse. Let everybody get, but also Kakamega to get. Somebody like Mudavadi and Wetangula, they are jokers. How can Wetangula be using the numbers of Kakamega to go and bargain in Nairobi and dare tell the president that the airport meant to be in Kakamega should go to Bungoma? Then the immigration office for Western Kenya should go to Bungoma. He's old enough to know that Kakamega is the political and commercial capital of the Abaluya people. And our forefathers who made that decision, Masinda Muliro was a Bukusu like him. He saved Kakamega. Wamalo Kijana saved Kakamega. Abukusu like him. Elijah Waskemwangale saved Kakamega. He was Abukusu like him. He's a petty thinker. He wants to tell the country that Luya land is Bungoma. Luya land is Vihiga, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, Busia, and Kakamega. Headquarters here in Kakamega. Before, now, and after Wetangula and KHALWALE are gone.
A Luya spokesperson, does it matter?
Yes, let them be spokesmen, let them be kingpin. But I've said, I don't want to be a kingpin. I'll remain the linchpin.
You look in the camera, one word, two Kenyans, adverse to Kenyans, and especially at this point whereby there's a whole lot of things that are happening in the country. There's turmoil, there is, aftermath of Jenzi protests. What do you have to tell Kenyans?
I truly regret the loss of lives and property the way I've seen both in June 25th last year and what happened this year and on Sapasaba. I truly regret. How I wish it could not happen. I'm appealing to anybody and everybody who has the slightest responsibility to ensure that this does not happen, to play their part. Look at this beautiful little boy from the media. If you go behind him, there are aged parents back home, poor, who have sacrificed everything to bring this boy to become a media practitioner. How can I be a leader if this boy is going to be shot? How can I be a leader when a hawker in Meru, who started hawking, went to a kiosk, went to a shop, has built a modern supermarket when that market is being torched? I don't want to be part of that history. And because of my national credentials, I will not keep quiet. We must get Kenya right. We got Kenya right when Moi was practicing detention without trial. We got it right. We removed Section 2A, which had made Kenya one-party state. Today, I fear the broad-based government has moved us closer to our one-party state, because it looks like somebody wants to believe that what the president and Raila Odinga say must fly, irrespective of the depth of whatever they have said, whether it is right or wrong. We want the only thing to be the constant, be the provision of the Constitution of Kenya. When the Constitution is right, every Kenyan will be happy. But when we take shortcuts, we don't go anywhere.
Asante sana kwa muda wako. Thank you so much.
Shukran.